Welcome to the Beyond Infinite podcast. This is episode number 1. This is the podcast where we discuss the high level, everything high level Snap to the highest rank and beyond, meaning updates that we get, future cards, future locations, everything exciting, maybe some drama here and there, we cover basically everything. It's not just high level Marvel Snap, but it's everything and beyond with your boy Dmoney, and I have the amazing ItsGuestGaming with me today.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, to say the least. I'm excited to do this because it's been a couple months since I've been on a podcast, and I love doing podcasts. I think it's great to just have an open conversation because, it's one thing to stream and talk to chat, but it's another thing to talk to another human being, especially someone who's incredibly passionate about the game as well. So I'm excited to honestly talk to you about some of these topics in particular, because we are on very different scales of what we'll call the infinite journey. So I'm excited for that. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I know they used to have the podcast. You used to run a podcast with Default Dan, and I just want to let you know that I'm not going to be as soft as Default Dan. All right, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you a bit on these topics. I want some
God. Thank you. Okay, because look, and for those who do not know, especially if you're an audio listener and you see that, you were following what was the Snapback podcast, and now here's Dmoney and guest, and what's this new thing that's popping up in my Spotify or Apple? The Snapback podcast has been retired. It is what it is. Default Dan and I have been talking about it for a little while. We were looking at a transition maybe, but the holiday break just happened. He's moving on to other content, and I said, okay, well, that's fine. He's still my boy. I still love Default Dan. I cannot wait to see him again. Hopefully there'll be another SnapCon in Tampa where maybe we'll be able to go down there and hang out again once more. But no matter what, the show must go on. So the fact that we are now moving on is proof that there is still passion behind this game, this following, and I'm excited to be here with you for it, to talk Snap, because I haven't talked Snap like this in months.
Yeah, very passionate about this game. We both are. A lot of people are passionate about this game, and that's one of the most amazing things about the community is how everybody is really just, they believe in Marvel Snap and are excited for the future. Of course, there's going to be some bumps in the road. There always are, but and in the end, the community always comes together and is pushing towards better things in the future.
Yeah, I hope so. Are you ready to push?
Ready to push. We have some awesome topics for you guys today, starting with the patch that just happened in Marvel Snap. We had a few things change. I think the standout cards that were changed were probably Annihilus moving and destroying only below zero power cards, which is a big change. We also have, especially with the debris package, and then we also have the Miss Marvel change. So now you have to have 2 cards for Miss Marvel to actually buff on that other location. And then we also have, and I think she also lost 1 power on herself. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't even attempted to play her after that change, but I'm sure she's still all right. And then we also have the Quake change. We also have the Quake. That's a big one.
Quake has been unfair fun. I have thoroughly enjoyed using a different level of control and having her at 2 cost for that to follow up on as another combo package on turn 5, I should say. That has been a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of storm quaking and tweaking out a couple of ideas through there. So get the false lockdown lane, go ahead and flood, and then do it at the last second. That's been really fun. That's been really, really fun.
It's like literally a 2 energy Legion. I don't know, to me now. It's so crazy. But it doesn't feel like so oppressive so far, I guess. I haven't really had 8 cubes. I haven't lost 8 cubes to it yet. I guess my opponents might think it's a little not cool, but so far I've just been enjoying it, and I love seeing cards get a new light Shine.
New light shone down upon them.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
will feed you here, but I do want to ask you something though, because she's basically now I guess we call it the more correct replacement for Scarlet Witch. So do they think they should relook at how Scarlet Witch works? Or because like if you're choosing between Scarlet Witch and Quake now, to me there's no question you go Quake.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the thing with I feel like a lot of people are playing Magic nowadays. Ever since Magic was changed to 3 cost, I believe like it's a pretty popular card now. So I still do feel like you need some kind of location changer, and Quake doesn't change the actual locations. So I still think Scarlet Witch is pretty good. Um, and I actually like running. I actually like the idea of running Scarlet Witch with Quake, because then you give yourself a little more options for switching those locations up. Or like Thanos, I think Thanos is really good with the 2 because you have the Reality Stone to change the location. So I do think Quake is maybe Quake could come down to like a 2/2. Like that's how strong the ability is now. I'm not sure, but
I agree.
I still think Scarlet Witch is totally necessary.
It would be interesting, though, to think of now with this Quake synergy, because they're talking about it. Because for those who do not know, we are recording this live on Dmoney's Twitch channel. So if you want to see the episode happen as it happens, you can come join the live streams for that. But I will say, it does make an interesting C3 package, because they're talking about it in the chat. And thinking about it with Storm, and even maybe just run all of the location cards, you could build like a location focused C3 the same way you would then Valk it at the end afterwards. You could do the same thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, C3 getting a really good card added into the mix there.
Yeah.
And C3 does always like struggle with locations, so having those like Cerebro decks in general will struggle with locations, kind of messing them up. So another card to mess around with the locations. And then of course Luke Cage is now a 3-power card as well, so that does do well. Like C3 is looking pretty strong, not gonna lie, and it's always honestly pretty strong. It's just like it does have access. I feel like it's getting more and more access to tech cards that can disrupt your opponent, kind of like how C2 is also getting access to like these cards like Echo and stuff like that. So I think Cerebro is getting into a decent spot again. Yeah.
Maybe we see Cerebro somehow climb into the upper echelons right now and take over some of these mega decks, you know, the Blob Thanos and the Annihilus package, and these, you know, I mean, granted, Annihilus has taken a little bit of a step down, but it is worth bringing back, because you mentioned it earlier with Annihilus in particular and Debris. Does Debris have any use anymore? Because you had something with that.
Yeah. I mean, now you have to like add the hazmat in there, so you have to put the rocks on and then hazmat them and then send it over, and it just becomes a puzzle that probably has too many pieces in it. So
I'll agree with you.
Annihilus is in kind of an iffy spot. I feel like the Debris package wasn't even maybe the best package in it, but like people before the patch, they were running Annihilus along with just like the Hood and Sentry, and just like a kind of like a good cards deck. And then like if I send it over, cool, but I have like other ways. Like I have maybe a Viper, maybe a Cosmo to help my Sentry, and then if I get the Annihilus off, good, but like I have other cards that will. It's just not fully centered around the junk package, and I feel like that's the direction that the deck is probably still going to go at this point.
Yeah, I think it hurts it a little bit, but more often than not, I wasn't looking to send over rocks on 5. That's not how I would play the deck. It's not how most people are playing the deck. It's, look, you had Hood, you got a Void that you can just send on over there. That's really all you need. You get a bonus Selene if you really want to go super annoying, but not even really necessary, to be honest. I think you just need the trio more often than not, heck, even the duo. But Debris is now, in my opinion, a completely useless card, because you had some use for it now, but Annihilus at 5/6, only sending around those negatives, I think it just is more refining the fact that Annihilus is not a deck. Annihilus is a package. It's something that you include in with a Darkhawk package, or you get the idea.
Totally agree. Yeah. And that's for now, though. We never know what the future cards could hold. Hey, we might get some support. I feel like the Viper change definitely hit that deck really hard as well.
She got smacked. Dude.
Yeah, that deck was like, that deck seemed like decent. It didn't even seem like so great. But then yeah, they just keep hitting it. And yeah, junk decks are in shambles. I understand why they're hitting it though. I feel like they touched on it when they discussed the Viper change, like along with
Havoc.
The fact that like they changed Viper mainly. They said they mainly changed it for Havoc, for the Havoc combo there. And then they also hit Black Widow as well. They hit a lot of stuff. But I think it's basically because like they don't want like this uninteractive gameplay where you just don't get to play cards, and that's a common theme in Marvel Snap, is that we have these cards like Leader and Alliance, and now we have this junk package where it's like now all my locations are filled up. I can't even play my cards. Like, this game sucks. Like, they just don't want people to. The whole idea behind games is having people wanting to play them, and they definitely want to make sure that people get to play their cards as much as possible. I think that's the reason.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It could be worse, it could be better, but I mean, out of everything that happened in the patch, I still think that Quake was the biggest shakeup. But Ms. Marvel, I've messed around with the new Ms. Marvel. It doesn't really feel that different to me. The only thing that felt different was Professor X synergy, but any other shell, it's completely fine. And then it's like they added in random changes just to say, hey, look, we did something, like Dracula. Like, Dracula gets a power. Congratulations. Why? I don't know, but you get a power just because you do. Angel, great, you're deck thinner, but Destroy doesn't need you. Like, I tried building an Angel deck and I just kept losing ranks. I'm like, this is just I want my Nico or my Nova or my Wolverine, or I want all those other cards back. Like, it doesn't make it better, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they're making some small changes here and there, though, because, I mean, especially to cards that are kind of unplayable like Angel, so maybe it can have some kind of potential moving forward in some kind of deck that I don't see myself yet. But, yeah, the Dracula change was also a little weird, like you said. It was kind of like a buff and a nerf. Like, sometimes it's a buff and sometimes it's a nerf, which is kind of interesting, like, depending on the locations and the random shenanigans that happen in a game.
Yeah.
But... yeah, I think a lot of people are in agreement that Quake was the big winner, and a lot of people are also saying that Quake was the new card that was released this week instead of Hercules.
Quake is definitely more impactful than Hercules, in my opinion, because Hercules, who we should just talk about Hercules at this point, but like Hercules was, I know, it's me feeding into the segue. I think that Hercules was an okay card. And I've literally seen only one use for him where I was like, that's cool. And that's it. Like, it's a Storm lockout play that fed into Kingpin. And I searched out this deck because I took the screenshot. I still won the game because I was playing She-Not. But watching the final turn interaction of the locked down flooded lane from Storm, and then Herc is in there, so cards couldn't move in, and then it kicked it out back into the Kingpin lane, so then it lost power. It was absolutely wild. And that was the only time I ever looked at Hercules and said, this might have something here. I have the deck up on the screen for the video podcast because I sought it out because I wanted to see what this was. And it's cool, but there's just a billion things that are better. And Hercules is just better everything is better than Hercules. Well, not everything, but most things are better than Hercules at 4/6. Cool card at another cost, though.
Yeah, Hercules. I'm still trying to make him work. It's I played him for 2 days so far, and that's one more day than most people played him for.
This is a
fact.
So
I'm proud of that. And yeah, it seems like the card needs to be 3 energy, or else it's just like 4 energy for what he does. It's just way too much because he just requires so much setup. Like you said, you had to do like a Storm and then a Kingpin, and then he kind of then he was kind of good. Like then you could maybe do it. But I feel like you need to have Craven on one location. You have to have Kingpin on another one. and then Hercules has to be on one of those locations as well. And then you try to like bounce it back and forth, but then it's also not guaranteed to bounce to the one that you want it to, because it can go to the other location, the third location. It's just random. So yeah, like maybe if it sent it back to the same one that it came from, maybe that could be a little better. But yeah, I like if you don't have Zabu down, so then you need Zabu to make him 3. So now you need Kingpin, Kraven, Zabu, Hercules, and then you need move cards to actually like it's so bad. It's so freaking bad.
And that's just because move in general feeds into the idea of multiple cards. It's one thing to have Heimdall because it's literally moving multiple cards at one time. It's another thing when you're trying to create these intricate synergies, when you've got to drop 4 cost to do that. To me, that's not enough. Sorry, that's too much. It's not feeding into what move decks want to do, which is a 2 thing, which does a little thing, and then a 3 cost thing, which does another little thing. It's just you're weaving together this giant quilt of movement, and Hercules says, "I move things, but I'm expensive." There's no purpose. It's like Spider-Man 2099. Like no one runs Spider-Man 2099 for the same reason. I tried with Hercules to do a Zabu move hybrid deck, and I fed in Stegron, Hercules, and 2099. And it's an absolute waste of time. There's no reason for it whatsoever.
Yeah, my best use case for Hercules is like in a Phoenix Force deck. That's the one that I've been having like minor success with, and usually Hercules does not feel necessary at all and doesn't really help. Like very rarely he will do something. Yeah, and that's kind of a theme that we've seen with Marvel Snap in the past, is that a lot of Series 5 cards are sometimes really good, but most of the time pretty awful. Like they usually release a lot of like tech cards, which are very situational cards, and you have to spend 6,000 tokens on a tech card. Yeah, it's really hard to justify buying Hercules at this point. The only reason like to get Hercules is because you think he's gonna get buffed, because he has to get buffed. I don't know. Like they buffed Lady Deathstrike in the past, so I feel like, I mean, Hercules could see something soon.
I think Herc does. I think Herc is going to drop, and the way that we're all having this visceral reaction to the card is exactly like Lady Deathstrike. It's the, hey, listen, we want this to be good. It's got a cool, unique mechanic. Like the other synergy I saw with it was with Human Torch. Very cool, exciting synergy to get that Human Torch every turn after Hercules is down to double ramp, double ramp, double ramp. That's very cool. But outside of that, I cry thinking about the spotlight keys that I used on this card. Yeah. I can't get them back. I want them back. I can't get them back. But Herc was fun for like the first 3 games. And then you realize, wow, I'm still losing. Can I go back to my Scar deck? You know, like just like, because Scar's definitely better than Hercules, in my opinion, in this case.
Yeah, Hercules is just, he's in a rough spot, but hey, he's still very new. Anything can happen. Maybe we just haven't tried everything yet. All right, maybe there's some secret sauce that is delicious. I don't know.
I'll wait. But I'll gladly wait. If anyone wants to serve that, please put that into a comment somewhere, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening or watching this. Let us know, because as of right now, neither of us are sold on Hercules.
Yep. But we also have so along with the drop of the new card, we also have a new location that just dropped in Marvel Snap. It was just the featured location. It's called Great Portal. And it is add a random card with 10 or more power to your hand. So it adds it to each player's hand when it comes up. And yeah, just like a little bit of wackiness this week for Marvel Snap. Usually, but it wasn't really like a toxic location to me, at least. Like usually, like sometimes there will be these feature locations that are just like kind of unbearable to play for like an extended period of time. But Great Portal just added like some excitement, and it could even be like a 4 cost or a 5 cost, as long as it just has 10 or more power. Yeah, it just adds a little little switch up to the game. I kind of liked it.
You know who I did like during the featured location, and it's the first time I've ever enjoyed the card ever? Morph. Morph was awesome during this as a featured location, and it was worth playing into to pull out that Doc Ock or that Magneto. Okay, for 3 costs, sure, I'll take that any day of the week, but like, it's probably the only time I'm going to enjoy playing Morph is when this comes back as a featured location some other day. So remember it. It'll happen again eventually someday. But I mean, like I said, I play Scar decks and I've been enjoying them. So this was nice to have as just another option, especially when it gave me Scar. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. It's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a good time to play those kind of cards in your deck. I didn't even play those cards, and I still had fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, you could also just run Shang-Chi and call it a day, and kill whatever 10 power card they put down.
Backs are down, but they were had.
Yeah. Pretty cool location. But yeah, it was featured for a bit, and now it's just going to be in the regular rotation. So, I mean, sometimes it'll feel like it's featured because of location batching, the conspiracy. So, like you might get it multiple games back to back, you know, and then.
I mean, I gotta give props where props are due after listening through all of the math of is it actually like confirmation bias or not. Shout out to KM Best on breaking down all of that math and figuring out that it's about a 8 to 10% chance that you're just going to get one of those locations again back to back games. Every single game. So 1 in 10 games, you're going to have locations back to back. So it's not confirmation bias. It's just you play too much damn Marvel Snap.
That's probably true.
So yeah.
Yes, I did watch the video and I understand the math, but I don't know. Still, sometimes it's a little too coincidental, you know, that I don't know. And like in the same spot too, like the location of
the decks are more a problem than anything else. Like you're playing a Thanos deck and you're only going up against Thanos decks, and then you change your deck and then you're only going up against one other style. It like you put in a brand new deck and you know you're guaranteed. You make a brand new deck. You're sitting here, you're especially because you and I do it. We're on stream, we're building a deck, we're talking with the chat, etc. You build it up, you throw it on in there. What's the second location that flips over?
District X.
Every freaking time. So it's District X, it's Weird World, or it's every now and then Ego, but District X almost every single time. It just they know. That's more the confirmation bias for me. If they can disprove that, then we'll talk, but I need deeper resources to figure that one out.
Nice. Totally agree. Yeah, there's something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you always queue into your worst matchup, or sometimes when you make when you make a new deck, sometimes like they'll give you'll just get like a bunch of wins right off the bat, and it'll like make you believe that your deck is good.
Yep.
And then no, you were mistaken.
Every time, Sandman ramp, just nonstop as you're trying to do your combo plays. But I hear you. But I actually, because I said I was excited about the Scar decks and how I've been playing, you know, Scar for the last several, what is it, 2 weeks now? Yeah, just about, you know, week and a half, 2 weeks. Titan's exciting. Titan's the next featured location. By the time this podcast goes out, it'll be the next one that pops up. And I mean, I'm playing She-Not, I'm playing Scar, I'm having a great time with those decks right now, and this just feeds directly into it. It's a scary location to have on the board with the current meta. I think this is going to be a very rough location to not play a Kyera deck, and that encompasses everything, in my opinion. If you're playing Kyera, this is going to be a good day for you.
Yeah, I mean, Titan... if you don't know, Titan makes 6 costs, cost 1 less. So it basically automatically enables the She-Hulk plus Infinite strategy on turn 6, as opposed to them having to set it up with Magic and Limbo. So I feel like that'll be a pretty a pretty popular deck during that hot location time. And like you said, yeah, Scar. I mean, everything that you were just playing, like the Morph is probably going to be really good as well. Still, the Scar decks are going to be popping up. I mean, just regular Thanos with Blob, like doing a Blob into Taskmaster seems pretty strong to me.
That's all you should be playing. Let's be honest here. It's the only combo you should be playing. Not even Thanos Blob, just straight up beefy Blob Taskmaster. If you have it, snap. If you don't, retreat. Just that's your whole 24 hours. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean we have Titan coming up. That's the next hot location, and then there's actually not a featured location next week. Not a new location as far as we see. But it's going to be Titan is a hot location, and then after that it's going to be White Hot Room,
right,
which is the location where if you fill it up, whoever fills up the location first gets +3 energy every single turn for the rest of the game. This
has been here, I think, once before, because I remember the last time it was here, I decided to be really evil and just play Jean Grey and feed into it on purpose. And then it's just a straight up race of who has the smallest cards. And you know real quickly if you're going to be retreating or not. I was running, when I was bored, I was running Agatha Jean Grey, which is really fun if you've never done it. But just standard Jean Grey decks with those move out pieces, you know, your Nightcrawlers, Jeffs, Visions, etc. It's a really solid deck. But otherwise, go ahead, just use your Brood.
Yeah, that'll probably happen, and probably a lot of bounce as well. Some kind of thing like that, just to fill it up and then take it off. Of course, Jeff, like you were saying, Jeff is really good on that location. Just like anything that allows you to get that +3 energy and then move off so you have space to play other stuff there.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Whatever happened to bounce? I feel like, you know, you of all people, because you won a tournament with bounce. So like, I miss the days where bounce was a good deck and competitive all the time. And then they nerfed it into the ground. And now it's just like, it can't keep up. Like, should bounce come back? I know it's a sidebar, but like, should bounce be a healthy deck in Snap?
I think, I mean, it definitely was too strong the way that it used to be too strong for sure. Yeah. And the nerfs were justified, but now we have just way stronger cards coming into the mix that makes it really tough to compete. Like you said, like we have Blob, for example, that is like that just puts out way more power than I could put out as a bounce deck. And like the big hit to bounce was really the hit monkey going to 3. It made it so you just can't play nearly as many cards, and you have to you can't really do the same kind of setup. You have to play it a lot differently. So I think bounce is actually still strong, like especially with Werewolf, even though Werewolf got changed as well, and Kitty probably got changed as well. But the deck actually still feels pretty good.
Just not today.
It's decent. It's just tough, especially with like some lockdown strategies that could be going around. I think the deck is not bad, but it's definitely different than what it used to be. And that monkey change really hurt a lot. Yeah. Agreed.
I think it's right now, it's hysterical because it's all about big card blob. You know, we're in the meek. Sorry, not meek. We're in the Scar. That's the card coming up. We're in the Scar mindset where there's a lot of She-Not. There's a lot of, you know, big beefy cards. Yet Shang-Chi is not performing well, even though he's in almost half of the decks at this point in Marvel Snap. It's hysterical because I just think of, I miss the small play meta. Like I miss playing a billion cards on turn 6 and hoping for the best. Like Sarah Miracle style play is exciting. Whether we're casting it or we're playing it, it's incredibly exciting. And now it's just feel like, all right, it's a race to the big card and who has priority.
Yeah, priority is definitely a big deal at the moment, especially with Blob and like Shang-Chi. But speaking of small, you said you wanted small cards. So, well, we have one coming up this upcoming week here, Meek.
Yeah.
He's a 1/1. Is that small enough for you?
It's tight. I feel like I'm and I just filmed a video on Meek, and after getting some confirmation on exactly how the card is going to move and gain power, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about this card, because this card has the potential to get like to 110, 111, 112 very easily with all of the discards that happen in just any discard package, yet alone a MODOK package especially. But getting Meek above rate is very, very, very easy. Like, I'm actually excited to play with this card.
Yeah, so I guess let's talk about like how this card works here. So
Yeah.
it's a 1/1 that after each turn, if you discarded any cards, gain +1 power for each and move. So
Yeah.
you said you know how it works. So
Yeah.
if I discard multiple cards, is it gonna move multiple times and gain the power for each, or it's just one move and then it gains all the power for each?
Correct. So it's going to. So let's say you play a Hell Cow, right? And this was one of the confirmations that I needed to get from an answer that was from Glenn, was if you play Hell Cow, what happens? So it will add on the 2 power for each of the discarded cards, 1 and 2. That's its registered total power intake. And then it will fly Meek to another random location out of the other 2. So its number of cards discarded in that turn is how much power it will accumulate. And then it will do 1 move. So they're separate operations. They're not, because, and it's amazing thinking about, imagine if it was a MODOK play and you have Craven on the board and Meek is just like just going all over the place, and Craven's just ramping and
just making sure. Yeah.
Oh, they had that, and then they changed that because they said it was just too cracked. So I'm like,
I figured, yeah.
I would have done it too. Are you kidding me? We all would have been doing it. It would have been the only way to play Meek right now. But even still, 2 discards in a discard package deck, even if it's not a full discard deck, that's incredibly easy to do. Yet alone, if you're playing a MODOK deck and you're discarding 4 cards, Meek is now a 1/5. That's pretty damn solid. But there's a huge, and I super broke it down in the video too. The big thing here is that it says after each turn, which means Dracula will not proc it, because that's at the end of game, which is already a new phase. So Dracula doesn't count as another piece of power, and it will mess up your Invisible Woman, because Invisible Woman is also at the end of game. So those who like to do the hiding version of like MODOK behind it, you can't do that because then Meek won't gain the power.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's actually really good information to know there, especially with the Dracula, because that's obviously a staple in any kind of discard deck. Yeah, I think Meek is a pretty good card. Is it Series 4?
Series 4. It's only 3K.
Yeah.
It's a cheaper card. And if you like discard in any way, honestly, I think this is actually worth the pickup just to build into that archetype.
Yeah, I feel like Meek is actually very strong, especially because in your typical like classic discard deck that's running like the Apocalypse version with the swarms and whatever, I feel like you don't really have a great 1-cost play. Like it's I usually run Sunspot in there, and then sometimes I'll float if I don't want to like discard something important in my hand. But Meek is just, he seems like the 1-cost card to play in that deck, and like you said, like you could get it pretty big, especially with MODOK. Like MODOK just by itself should just pump Meek up a lot. And also the fact that the discard decks usually don't run they don't run anything to go into another location like Jeff or Nightcrawler. So Meek can do that for you. It can potentially move into like a Sanctum Sanctorum, which is huge, and just like enables discard to just have more options and just another threat on the board.
Yeah, you can look at ramp plays like for example, the Storm combination is really, really good here. Like if you like your Storm Dracula OG style discard, this is great as a backup play in case if you don't have that Drac to drop on 4, because then you could just fill up one of the lanes and then do a discard on 6, and then it should move to the other non-filled lane. So there's some location management that can happen with Meek that I think is going to be really exciting. Like I was even looking at Werewolf by Night is now going to have some options here, because it can also feed into Miles Morales, who is my favorite synergy with Meek, because Meek now has an extra 1/5 card because you've got these on reveals going. and then you've also got these movements going, and you've got these discards going. Like there's so much ramping that can happen with this. Like I built 4 decks just messing around with it, and there are so many different ramp cards that Meek feeds into, and you can either throw them all together like a Craven and you got Morbius in there, you can throw Werewolf in there, Meek is a ramp card all by itself, like all these individual Collector you can throw back in there again. But you could just simplify it. You could say, look, just throw it into a MODOK deck, and Meek is going to move 1 time and 1 time only, and it's going to go up to a 1/6, 1/7, and that's worth it for me. Like, Meek is a surprisingly good card, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's way better than Hercules for sure.
That's, I mean, Martyr is. Let's be honest here. That's saying something.
Martyr is actually kind of solid in one deck, but yeah, I'm excited for Meek. I like discard. I like the discard archetype, even though it can be a bit linear at times. That was one of my first loves in Marvel Snap. So excited to see it get a little more love there, and just like I said, a consistent turn 1 play, or just a consistent 1 cost card for the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the new card that's dropping this upcoming Tuesday. But we also want to talk about the development roadmap for Marvel Snap as we head into the new year. If you didn't know, it's 2024 now. And we have the Marvel Snap dropped an update on a developer roadmap where we have a bunch of things coming soon, and then a bunch in development and also in concept. So we get to see ahead of time what they are planning, what Second Dinner is planning for the future here. And I didn't want to cover everything. Just wanted to maybe go over what we thought was maybe the most exciting aspects of it.
I think the one that I want the most, as I'm like reviewing it again, yes, customization is great with the card effects, which I'm going to touch on a little differently too, because I can finally say something out loud publicly about it, because it's annoying. It's been annoying me that people are stupid. And I love you all. We are all the children of someone, but some of you are just stupid. I think the in development clan piece is the most intriguing to me, because to me, clans could make or break everything in Marvel Snap. It could be incredibly toxic, or it could be the best thing to come to the game yet. You know, social communities that happen in game. If there's, for example, things like global chats, those are awful for the game. Hopefully there is no place where you can talk and recruit people for your clan into a global. Please, if you've ever been on global Discord or Reddit, you know that no one wants that. So hopefully something like that doesn't happen. But it does lead to how the clans are going to be built. If clans are being built based on power exclusively, which then defines rewards, we could see some toxic culture start to grow from that. I've seen the good and the bad from the social aspects on a lot of these games. I have appropriate reason to be concerned, because these clans should have goals that they achieve as a group and unlock things and rewards and go on quests and etc. But if it's done, for lack of a better term, in a predatory way, where it really forces you to be super active because clans are just toxic, and no, we only have 24 hours as a group and everybody has to play today and get 10 games in, and blah, blah, blah. Like, if it goes down that path, we're screwed. This game is absolutely screwed if that happens. I don't think Second Dinner is going to go down that path, though, but I know you've got a lot of experience in this realm as well. How do you see Marvel Snap taking a social aspect in-game?
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I do think, I mean, it's very easy to encounter toxicity on the internet for sure. Yep. Especially in gaming. And when you add a social aspect into the mix here, I mean, not only, like, I feel like it's gonna be like people are gonna be wanting to like flex for sure, like, oh, I'm in the top clan or like whatever. Yeah. And that could maybe lead to some kind of animosity from others and stuff like that. Like, maybe people really like getting worked up with achieving some kind of whatever in the game, depending on what like the rewards are as well. um I mean, I could see there being like an in-game chat, like in the like only clan, like a clan chat or
Yeah,
something like
that's
that. I
fine.
couldn't see like anything else. Yeah. I it's tough because it's of course a mobile game first. So I mean, you could look at these other games like Clash of Clans and stuff like that obviously have clans, and it could force you to yeah, I don't really know, like they can do anything with this. It's so hard to speculate. But yeah, I don't want it to be something that turns into like you said, like you have to log in and do this and like a lot of people, I mean, that's not going to be for everybody, and I don't think you wouldn't have to do it anyway. You could totally join, like I'm sure there's going to be casual clans and competitive clans, and hopefully people will be able to play the game still however they would like. But I think clans are just good for the game, in the sense of that it should just add more rewards, just more incentive for playing the game, and create some kind of like camaraderie with others in the game. Yeah.
I think one of the healthiest balances of what they could do with this is, let's say you're in a clan, no matter what the size of the clan is, doesn't matter. I would prefer smaller personally. I think 20 people is great because it'll actually help prevent a lot of chaos. So 20 people or less, 10 even, I could live with. But I wouldn't go any lower than that, obviously. You want it to be a group of people, not just like how many for your dinner reservation. I think that if they do it where a clan has a week, a longer period of time to complete a certain list of achievements, like number of discard games, number of times playing Quake this week, whatever, as a group, and then they have 7 days to complete said goal. And if you get the goal, you get the rewards. That's great. That should be what it primarily is. The further caveat to that, which is what allows people to then have the balance of wanting to be super active and super competitive if you want to be, but not mandatory because everybody's going to be able to unlock the same minimum achievement, whatever that is. I think then you look at, okay, how much further past that achievement did your group go? And then that gets ranked. And from those groups, you have, you're in the top 10 groups that did, all of the achievements. Your total points or percent or whatever you want to call it is blank. Congratulations, you did great. Here's your top 10 rewards, and then the 11 through 20s, and then the et cetera, and you bring it all the way down. I think if there's something along those lines, it finds that happy balance between incentivizing competitive play and, or more importantly, incentivizing more time in the game, which is what the game wants more than anything else, is screen time. They don't care if you're competitive. They just care that you're playing the game. Let's be honest here. That's how game developers work. So I think that's how they feed into that. And then we as a community get to decide, what do we want to be? Do we want to be in a casual clan, or do we want to be in a high activity, log in every day, play for 2 hours a day plus type activity, clan group thing? So that's what I could see them doing.
100%. Yep. But it is in development still, and we have no idea. We don't really have like a lot of information on it. So
yeah, hopefully
they take it to a good path here. But like I said, anything could really happen with any of these things that we see on the roadmap here. And but something that we do have a little more information for is the character mastery, which is what I am excited about personally. I mean, I'm excited about multiple things, like clans as well, but character mastery is, if you did not know, so that's in the coming soon section. So I don't remember. Do you know the like breakdown on like the time frame? I think coming soon maybe is within 3 months. I forget
like the whole category? Yeah, 3 to 6 within 6 months. Ideally 3 for most of them. Okay.
Yeah. So character mastery is basically like giving you either like, I forget exactly what it was, like avatars or exclusive borders on your cards or emotes, just like giving you rewards for upgrading a specific card or playing. Is it playing with a card? Upgrade.
So
I probably should know
have
more
to,
information on this.
yeah,
But
I'm glad you're excited about what you know. So the it's basically playing with a card and doing specific things with said card. Deadpool's a great example of it. So you have to play, let's say it's 100 games with Deadpool. All right, you've mastered that. You've ticked that box on the mastery achievement 1 or whatever they're going to call it, right? And then get Deadpool up to over 100 power. Okay, you did that successfully with Deadpool. Great. Deadpool wins a lane all by himself. All right, then that wins a lane. It's check marking a whole bunch of achievements to do specifically with the character. The only thing I'm curious about is, will friendly mode count? Because if so, then people can manufacture them and make those situations happen, because you get boosters when you do certain game modes more than others, right? You get more in Conquest because you played more rounds and more games. So I don't think it will, but it's something I'm still keeping an eye on. I think that the idea of all of these different unique customizations, because I don't know if you noticed, they added an extra customization into the game. It's now the little oh my god, what's the second dinner mascot's name? Fudd.
Fudd, yeah.
It took me a second there. I'm like, had to get there, carry the 4, add the 7. There's a fourth one in Fudd now, because there was angry, there was surprised, there was happy, and now there's like a fourth one. And I think that's in conjunction with what we see exactly now on what's on the screen for the video one, because they showcased it with Goose and for Wolverine. There's 4 different versions of each character. So technically, we could go in as far as saying we know which characters are going to have mastery also, because we know the emotes that exist, at least according to data mines.
I mean, I'm hoping that every character has mastery. They should, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty exciting because it's kind of like you're completing like these achievements, and you're actually getting something for completing them. Like I used to play Hearthstone quite a bit. That was my main game that I used to stream, and they have achievements in Hearthstone, but you get just achievement points that literally mean nothing. Like, you don't actually unlock anything. So it's really cool that you can actually get rewards for completing these achievements that are card specific, and it just gives you something to work towards, and that's what it all is all about. Just extra incentive. That's what, like, a lot of new features are going to add into the game, which is what we want, because like sometimes, like, if you're just like bored of just playing regular ladder or conquest and you're not really working towards anything, maybe you're just like trying to get like medals or just like some more rank points that don't really mean anything. Now you have something extra to work towards, and it's just like a fun little challenge that you can just challenge yourself. Like, like you said, if I need to win one location with Deadpool, to get to the next level of the mastery and unlock something cool for my Deadpool, like, that's exciting. Like, working towards that achievement and getting your goal it's always really, like, yeah. I really am excited for extra rewards, extra like exclusive, unique rewards for specific characters, and everything about that is really looking forward to that. Yeah,
I think within that mastery, it will have a very large effect, in my opinion, on the metagame, because it will diminish it, because people will see this come out, they'll see the one that they want. You know, they'll find the variation of, ooh, I want the little emotes, emojis, whatever, for Wolverine. Okay, I was playing She-Not for the last 3 weeks. I'm now going to switch to a discard deck or a destroy deck. And I think those scalings are going to change drastically, especially in the first month. So the metagame will change because people are wanting to unlock these new features because they're free. It's just play activity to unlock them. You know, play X amount of games, get certain thing to happen. Like, it's screen time to get the achievement, and it's less time of you saying, all right, let me go to Untapped and look at the best deck, copy, paste, let's play it, go. And that's what you're swarmed with. So I'm happy that it's going to shake things up a little bit, both cosmetically as well as in the actual, meta of the game on ladder. I don't see it happening necessarily in Conquest as much, but I see it more on ladder.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that. Yeah, so like exactly like if you complete if I got all my masteries for my destroy deck, now I want to unlock something new, so now I have to switch up the deck and play something else, play some kind of other archetype, and that does just like force like it's probably not gonna change it so much, but just add a little more variety into the games, and it will add up. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
The more people are trying to get these other masteries, depending on what they are and depending on how many you can unlock. I mean, if it takes forever to unlock like a specific border with Deadpool, then maybe you'll be playing Deadpool for a long time. Like you'll be playing the Destroy archetype for a while. But yeah, depending on those factors, I think that is going to definitely impact the meta in a sense. Probably like you said, not in Conquest, and probably not in the like top 100 or like the very high level Snap. But I mean, I'm in like top 200, but I wanna get all the masteries still. So
I'm gonna throw something at you. So with mastery, how do you feel about this idea? Because I could see Second Dinner doing this because it's a business, right? I could see one of the mastery pieces be number of splits. Like you have to split a card 10 times before you can get to a mastery thing. If they implement that, is that feeding too much into the like pay side of, you know, we're trying to get credits, trying to upgrade your card, but then you could also just, you know, use your gold for boosters because you want, oh, I'm so close, I'm at 8 splits, but I did everything else. All right, I'll just use my would that be negative?
I mean, I think they already did talk about the fact that like I think they did say that your number of splits and your variants for cards count towards that character mastery.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure they did say that, but
I don't remember that part.
Hopefully it's not a lot of, it doesn't weigh so much on it, and it's not like totally necessary to unlock the very cool things, which it totally might be.
It does make me want
at the end of the day, it's a business and it's a mobile game with microtransactions, and if you want the really cool stuff, sometimes you got to pay, but you don't have to pay, but you pay to progress quicker, and that's usually how it is. So yeah,
and something with that too, when it comes to the splits, I wanted to revisit here from the beginning of this part of the topic, which was talking about the selectable card effects and selectable borders, because a lot of people, and honestly to me, a surprising amount of people, were upset at the fact that you wouldn't be able to custom build based on how you unlocked them. So for example, if you have a card that's split multiple times and you got one golden unlock, but it's a green crackle, right? Which is a pretty good split, but just you wouldn't be able to take that green crackle and put it onto an inked version. It's connected. It's specifically to that variation, and then you can adjust that one with its border up and down. You can't bring that green crackle over, and you can't bring that golden background over. They are still conjoined, and people were upset at that. And I don't understand why.
I think I know.
Like, I know people want what they want. Let's be honest here. But
no, well, yes, but I feel like people were upset about that because of the way that it was worded when they released this roadmap, because they say like selectable whatever, and you could fully, they say like in the roadmap, like in the details, like you can like fully customize your cards now, and I feel like it got people overexcited, overhyped for it before they even knew all the information, just because of how it was worded. But I think it makes total sense that they would not allow something like that to happen. I mean, that just means a lot less money in their pocket, a lot less times you have to split cards. That's just like, I never have to split this card ever again because I have a golden and I have a crackle. So like I'm good forever. Like
exactly.
There's no way that would happen.
Exactly. And it to me, it doesn't make sense thinking, because I'm constantly always looking at when there are decisions made in the game about, okay, this, whether it's a bundle that comes out or a new game mode or whatever, I try to step back and think about it from the game developer's point of view. Like, what is the business getting out of this? because that has to be their first approach is we're a business. We need to survive. How are we going to make money via activity simultaneously? Even if it's a free-to-play player, they have to get something out of it in some way, shape, or form by feeding the whales with activity, because the whales have opponents to go up against. And that's incredibly important. So they want to get these splits out there to a certain degree. But if you could literally, like you said, finish it out with just a gold background and I got one crackle on a different split, well, then I could just build
on anything.
Exactly. Yeah. If I could just build it, I'll just call it a day. I don't understand how people would think that, oh, that's what they meant. But I come from a business mindset of there's no way they were going to restrict, because you've only got 4 backgrounds right now, right? It's prism, foil, prism, foil, inked, and gold. You could technically get all of those within 5 splits. If you're really lucky, you could get them all within 5 splits. So you got your gold background, great. And now you're just splitting until you get the flare that you want. But think of all the color combinations and all of the different flares that are out there. There's no way they're going to restrict that down to, oh, I got my gold. Okay, I just wanted to go. I don't care what the flare is. Why? So,
yeah, people always want something for nothing, and
that's true.
But
too.
I do feel like their wording was a little confusing, because when I was first reading it, I was like, wait, does that mean that I could just fully customize my card with every single thing that I've unlocked? But I also then figured like this would never happen. Like we were just saying, like they would never do that. And but people, I feel like people just got their hopes up.
Yeah.
And that should be a lesson to you. Never get your hopes up. Always be prepared for always expect a bunch of poop. But not out of this podcast, though. You should always expect really good. Keep your hopes up for the podcast, though.
We need to get you to the glass half full mindset slowly. You know, we'll get you there. Expect good things, but understand when it's bad. Like, expect that they know what they're doing and they're able to survive as a business, but it's obviously it's a very fair balance. So I with everything that's coming in the next couple of months, you know, the reactions, the infinity splits that they're talking about, different albums, I think that's low key going to be more exciting for most of the community, because they're talking about different size albums, different types of albums, and master albums is even something that could progress into it as well, like getting every single Dan hip or getting 100 Dan hips, for example, and filling out the master album. Like, that kind of stuff is exciting to me, because it is something that you can actively progress free to play even as well. So I like that for an engagement piece. But out of everything else that I think will actually give real value to gameplay, not just, you know, oh, this is a shinier Iron Man than your Iron Man. I don't see enough people talking about the graveyard. The in-game graveyard, being able to see what was discarded and see what has been destroyed in-game for those who are not using a companion app or playing on PC, that's a big deal, and it's going to make a lot more people a lot more competitive, because they know, oh, wait, what was destroyed? Oh man, how many cards this was? But wait, what was the total power? What's my null at now? All those extra pieces of information that the PC player is regularly using more often than not, because I know you're on Untapped, I am as well. So, like, you know, we have more information than someone playing on mobile. Just call it what it is. I think that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. Yeah, I feel like it's not really, people aren't really talking about it. Maybe because they play on like a lot of the people that are talking on Twitter and maybe commenting on Twitch are mainly PC players. It's totally possible. Like, that didn't really excite me when I first saw it, just because like I'm always playing on PC. I always have the tracker, right. But you always got to think about everybody else. And there's obviously way more mobile users than PC users, I'm sure. Like, there's a ton that we don't know of.
Yes.
I mean, the game was literally the #1 mobile game of the year. So, yeah, I'm sure this is going to be really exciting for a lot of people, and it should definitely have been in the game already. Like, I'm very surprised it wasn't. It needs it for sure. And if there is a way to like, I've always been wanting like Untapped to have like a counter for null, like personally. So maybe if there is a way to do that with the like, I guess depending on how the graveyard works, like if they actually show like the card with the buffs as well, like when it died on the field, that could be cool. And like also the graveyard thing actually is pretty relevant because which the untap tracker does not do, I believe, is that like, because the way that the graveyard works in Snap is that if you get the card, like if Wolverine dies, it doesn't go into the graveyard because it comes back. And then if I have something that's in the graveyard, let's say I have a squirrel in the graveyard and I bring it back with Phoenix Force, then that squirrel is no longer in the graveyard anymore. So there are like these little things that are maybe hard to like keep track of sometimes, and sometimes like, is this gonna come back from the graveyard? Like, is this technically in the graveyard now, or is it gone now? Like sometimes it's hard to tell. So I think that will clear up some things for players, and it might not impact the game so much all the time, but it's just useful information to have, and it could make the difference of a win or a loss. Yeah.
I'll give you some behind the scenes information too. So months ago, when I was over at SnapFan, one of the things that they were working on for quite some time was trying to build exactly that, was a null tracker. And after looking at the game data and seeing how different cards accumulate, and exactly for that reason of cards that go to the graveyard, cards that stay on the battlefield, cards that go back into your hand, like Deadpool, if you eat it with Venom, it was destroyed, so it does take a tick here, but where's the power, and how much power is constantly accumulated, especially when you kill certain cards repeatedly? What if a card goes to the graveyard, is brought back, and then destroyed again? All of those conditions make it next to impossible to program out exactly what a null tracker is, so that way you can have it active on any platform, yet alone their own. So sadly, I don't think that's ever going to happen for us, which is sad day.
Yeah, sounds pretty complicated.
We have to count, you know.
Oh my god,
Math.
that's a streamer's worst nightmare. But yeah, I mean, exciting stuff altogether, though, coming in the future for Marvel Snap. The roadmap is always an exciting update to get whenever we find out new stuff. I mean, same as like series drops as well. We just got some information on that as well. But yeah, really cool things for the future. And I mean, we also have like episode 2 of this podcast that's going to be coming in the future too, which is, I think they just announced that on the roadmap, and then like episode 3 and then 4, and then like it's just going to keep going. So there's like nonstop nonstop exciting stuff happening in the Marvel Snap community. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be doing a podcast again. I can't even tell you, like 2024 for Marvel Snap, especially with, we didn't even talk about the funding with Series B and how they just got an extra giant chunk of money into Second Dinner to help support their efforts on not just this game, but all of their adventures, if you will. So that is a huge piece to all of this, which I'll just say, good on you, mate. Like, thank goodness, you know, this is a really solid game, a really solid community. I know you're all in on this game. I'm all in on this game. 2024, we're both looking to put out a tremendous amount of new content. I'm putting out 4 to 5 YouTube videos a week. Like, this is a huge push for me. I know you're doing more lives. I know even with all the chaos of what the move that you're going to be going through, like, it's a busy time right now for both of us because Marvel Snap is incredibly active.
That is true. And with that, I think it's time to wrap up the podcast and episode 1, put it in the books.
We did it.
Hope you guys liked the episode, and you come back for next week's episode. We're planning on dropping these every Friday. I believe you have a Friday
It'll release sometime in the morning on Fridays, you know, just because we record these, we're 2 hours apart, so it's later for me. So I'm going to finish this recording. You're going to continue to stream. I'm going to go to bed. and then I'm gonna edit this. Except this week. This week I'm like, you know what? I'll edit it afterwards. I'll stay up late and then I'll get it out right away. But typically, if you're an audio or YouTube viewer of this podcast, you will be able to see it on Fridays as soon as I finish editing it on Friday mornings. But if you want to see it live when it's happening, make sure you join us on Thursday nights on Dmoney's Twitch channel. This is where we're going to be recording it. It's going to look better on his channel too. This was just a quick put together for his end. But watch on YouTube. It's a whole nother view. I've got like graphics and animations and all the cool fun stuff.
Yeah, so we're filming it on the Dmoney Twitch channel. Then we're posting it on ItsGuestGaming YouTube channel. And we're putting it on all podcast platforms. So you have your pick of where you want to view it, where you want to listen to it. And I hope you guys do that. Yeah.
Greatly appreciate it. Dmoney, for those who do not know, who are seeing you for the first time ever, for some weird reason on my YouTube channel or on this podcast channel, where can they find you?
I live on Long Island, so you could come here. Oh, you meant online.
Smart ass.
Yeah, I stream at twitch.tv/Dmoney, and I post Dmoney Snap. That's my YouTube. And yeah, that's about it. That's where you could.
Yeah, you're easy to find. Just Dmoney. Look for it pretty much everywhere, including on Twitter, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. You know, your Dmoney brand. You know, specifically, you got to add that. You know, highlighting in there. But
yeah, there's a lot of people that try to be Dmoney, but I am the real Dmoney. Okay,
you're the official, the OG Dmoney. Yeah. And for those who do not know myself, if you're seeing me here on the live stream for the first time, hi, I'm Guest, also known as ItsGuestGaming. I'm a full-time content creator as well for Marvel Snap. Been doing it for just about a year now. And I stream live on Twitch Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, bright and early, and then at the occasional happy hour on Friday. But otherwise, you can find a whole bunch of YouTube content. Everything is under the same name. It's Guest Gaming. Just search that everywhere. You'll find it. But I'm only really active on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter more often than anything else.
All right. Yeah.
Is this supposed to be an outro?
Well,
this is where we just say.
Did we do that? Did we do the outro already? Or
I don't know. This is it, right? I think we just end it here.
All right. Yeah.
That works.
We're done.
All right.
That's it.
Goodbye.